So good morning, everybody. I'm actually sharing this laptop with Rista, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to in a moment. I just wanted to welcome all of you and express my gratitude that that you have been taking such a leadership role in social distancing all these weeks. I know that it's been hard, and I know that it's a little bit scary thinking about reopening. But we wanted you to know that as a municipality, as a city, we want to be your partner in this reopening, that our goal here is not only about reopening and recovery, but also trying to work with you over the coming weeks and months and even longer into the future, and developing strategies that'll make you more resilient and perhaps even be able to grow your businesses. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Chief Towie. He'll talk a little bit about where we are as a municipality with trends, and then Rista Malaka will pick up there for economic recovery. So Chief, you're on.
Yes, so really want to focus this meeting to be on that support and guidance as far as we move into this next reopening phase. We still know that our community still is impacted with the COVID-19 virus. We are still seeing we are still seeing an increase in cases, but there is definitely positive trending in the numbers, and that's hopefully that continues as we move forward. The trending has allowed the state to sort of take that next step and start moving us into that reopening phase. But it's important to note that this guidance, which is being provided to us, is being done so in a manner to try to create as much protections and continue that progress on that slowing of the virus and impact on our community. So like the mayor said, we work through this guidance as it comes down, and we are staying on top of it the best we can as executive orders are issued, and are working to try to identify mechanisms where we can support you and provide the best guidance that is possible. And I know, everyone on this call is here to partner with you and support you and provide guidance as we are able to. So appreciate everyone's patience and everyone's efforts that you've been taking to help address the COVID-19 pandemic, and look forward to continuing working with everyone as we continue to move forward and come out of this stronger than we went into it. Thank you. And Rista, I'll now introduce Rista from Economic Development to sort of facilitate and move forward as far as where we are in those support measures and partnering with you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of this call today. A few, before we get into some industry-specific data that we want to share with you, I want to give you some overall information. There's a lot of information coming out regarding different programs that are out there, reopening, and it's really constantly changing. So our goal in today's meeting is not to go over all that guidance with you, but to give you some resources as to where you can find the information, then answer some of the questions that you have, and really identify what are your needs so that we can be able to provide the best resources for you. The City of Torrington does have our website up, and we're doing our best to keep it updated with the most current links to the information that you need. And I know that the Torrington Area Health District's website is also a good resource with a lot of links to the state and guidelines for what you need to reopen. When you go onto the city's website, there's a red banner on top that says Urgent COVID-19 Recovery page. On that page, you'll find a lot of information that you need, including the link to the reopening guidelines. Like I said, we're not going to go over all those guidelines, but we are here to answer your questions. The way we'll do the questions and answers when we get to that is through the chat feature. So, on your page, you can type in a question and I'll answer them for you. I know that there are some people on the phone. If you are on the phone and you have a question, if you type in *9, it will let me know that you have a question and we can unmute you. And we'll take those at the end of the question and answer session. for those people who don't have the option to get to the chat button. So as we go through our recovery plan, it's not just a plan that says, you know, how do we all survive COVID-19 pandemic, but how do our businesses thrive? How can all the efforts that we're putting in, all the collaborations, all the work and programs that we're creating, how can they help our business thrive in the long run? How can we come out of this stronger as a community and as a business environment? So that's really what we're looking for. And what we need to know from you is, what do you need to do that? You know, and it can be anything. So really, you know, reach out to me and tell me what you need. The best way to reach out to me is through my email, which is rista_malanka@torringtoncdt.com. And I will put that in the chat feature right now so that you have it. And it's also online if you don't have access or you're on the phone. So one of the things that we know is that every industry has unique specific needs. Your needs are not the same as the manufacturing world and as the restaurant world. So we will be establishing, this is the first of many work groups that are industry specific, that, you know, we can hear from you. What are your challenges? What are the resources you need? And, you know, build some collaborations. You know, one idea, and, you know, I'll be looking for you to tell me if this is beneficial for you, but, you know, you need to buy gowns, you need to buy hand sanitizer. Does it make sense to work together and buy in bulk to make that a collaboration so that you can all have the resources that you need to keep your salons open, healthy, and for people to come into them? So those are the types of things we want to hear about, and it can be anything. And you can ask through this chat room, but you can also ask through the email. That being said, I do have a couple questions that have come in already, and I'm going to just go into the question and answer session. And again, feel free to put questions right there out on the chat line. So the first question, and I think this will probably be geared toward the health district. And I just want to, before we get too further, on the phone with us today is Chief Towie from the fire department, Chief Baldwin from the police department, Torrington Area Health District, both Tom Stanfield and Rob Rubo, and our land use department, Marty Connor. So, you know, the mayor and I are also here. So between all of us, we should be able to answer all of your questions. If we can't, we will get the answers and we'll post them on our website. And also, if we don't get to all your questions, because we're going to try to keep it within the 45 minutes, because I know everybody is busy, in respect for your time, we will post the answers on our website as well under that COVID-19 webpage. You'll see those, any unanswered questions. This is being recorded, and I will get this recording up on the website this afternoon as well. So to start off with the questions and answers, there was a lot of questions pertaining to salons that have multiple workstations and multiple stylists. What is the guidelines for, you know, can they have multiple stylists? Can they have multiple customers in there at one time? What is the guidelines on how they should be operating for that?
Any particular person you want to answer that, Rista? Or?
Tom or Rob, if you want to start with that.
Go ahead,
Sure.
Tom. I'll pipe in if needed.
All right. Great. It's good to have backup. Basically, the guidelines are fairly specific about how you should be setting up your salon moving forward after reopening day. The 6-foot distancing between chairs. If you can't, most people can't remove their chairs, but if you can, you should. But if you're simply blocking off one of the stations to attain that, that's what you're going to have to do. I would refer everyone to the guidelines. They're on our website. I believe they're on the Torrington website for reopened Connecticut. They issued some very specific guidelines about how to distance yourself. One of the things that has come up is, can we have stylists working if we have a barrier between the chairs? I think that it is meeting the spirit of the regulation. If you have a barrier such as a plastic or a shower curtain that's large enough, now you're not going to just hang a shower curtain and say that's good. It's got to meet the spirit of the regulation so that you are separating everybody from one another. If there's a more specific question, I'd be happy to try to answer that. But that's basically what we're saying is rearrange your space so you have 6 feet. Stagger everything so that the people aren't next to each other at shampoo stations, any of those other places that you work. You can install physical barriers, and then mostly is you're not going to have a waiting room. So there should be no one in the building except for the client you're working on. And I recommend probably texting or calling your next appointment, have them wait in their car, whatever works for you.
Is there any guidelines on outdoor waiting rooms? So if instead of waiting in their car, if they wanted to set up a table or chairs outside of their salon, could they do that? And Tom, I'll let you start with that, and then I'll also ask Marty Connor if there's anything.
Yeah, I think that's a practical solution, but I think I'm going to fall back on what we're using for restaurant guidance is those chairs should be 6 feet apart. They shouldn't be encouraging groups to gather in any way. So if you have a small, cafe table with a single chair at it, 6 feet apart, I think that would be meeting the spirit of the regulation. Again, what we're trying to do is keep people from spreading the disease, which is respiratory droplet spread. We're trying to keep people as far apart as possible. I think that would be reasonable, but I'll defer to Marty for any zoning regulations.
Tom, it's Rob. If I could just pipe in quickly. Right in the regulation, it actually does speak of asking customers to wait in their cars until appointment time. What some people have even called in to ask to do, maybe they text the customers when they're ready to come in. We do want to caution against maybe setting up tables outside where you might end up, and this is for the larger salons, obviously, where you might end up with multiple people congregating. We do want to avoid that. It would probably be best to stick to the guidance and just ask them to wait in the car until it's their turn. And maybe the salon owners can text the individuals when it's time to come in. The other thing that I just want to point out, please, to all the salon owners, please do not hesitate to call us if there's any questions or clarification in the guidelines. If we don't have the answer, we'll reach out to the state to get it for you. We really want you guys to view us as a partner in this whole reopening process. I know a lot of times owners will get nervous about calling the health department because we're the regulatory authority. Please do not view us as the regulatory authority through this. We really want to partner with you to help you open in the safest manner possible.
Will you
From
be?
a zoning,
Go ahead, Marty.
Rista, from a zoning perspective, I would say, Rob's suggestion is probably the best way in the car, but if they were to put a couple of chairs out separated 6 feet apart, we would just consider that street furniture. Of course, you can't block the sidewalk, so there still has to be at least 4 feet of space for someone to get around if you're putting your chairs out on the sidewalk and not in your parking lot area.
I think the operative word here is congregating. We really, I agree with Rob. If it easily could get out of hand, so clearly situations that are encouraging people to gather in groups should be discouraged at all costs. So at this point, I was trying to find a practical solution, and I think, Rob, you're right. The guidelines don't necessarily say that you can do that. But again, social distancing is the goal here.
Great. There's a lot of questions, and maybe we'll take this in a couple phases here about what kind of protections are needed, both for the stylists and for the customers as they come in. So maybe we'll start with, sorry. So maybe we'll start with face masks and face shields. What is the guidance that they need to do for that? Do they have to be N95 masks? Can they be cloth masks? As far as face shield, can they substitute glasses, or what is considered a face shield? Ordinary health
Well,
district.
Yeah, I mean, basically in the guidance, all employees are required to wear face shields and a face mask. That's the employees, or other cloth face covering, but that refers to the face mask, which to differentiate between a shield and a mask, the shield is that plastic, clear plastic guard, similar to overblown safety glasses that you'll see some people wearing. Face mask would be the covering, like a surgical mask. You can use the cloth face mask in lieu of a surgical mask. The face shield, it specifically says in the guidance that you have a face shield. And it's not something that, this may start another internal discussion, but it's not something that we've discussed one way or the other. That's a very specific verbiage for a piece of personal protection equipment, and I think they intended face masks. That's face shields. That's my interpretation of that. Gloves are optional, but if you're going to wear them, they've got to be changed often. A dirty glove is dirtier than a dirty hand. We prefer that you wash your hands very, very well between customers. Use the 20-second rule. And gloves and eye protection are required when you're cleaning and whatnot. So you're going to need this equipment. Rob, if you have something to chime in about face shields versus safety glasses.
Sure. What I believe the intent of this guidance is, the face mask that they're asking everybody to wear is not an N95. An N95 is something that you would have to be fit tested for. That's a piece of protective equipment that it's not going to allow other droplets to get into your mouth or nose. Face masks are worn more so that you protect other people around you. So if you cough or sneeze, your droplets won't go very far. They'll be contained by the face mask, and that's what we're asking everybody to wear. The face shield, that would give you some additional protection from your customer. If your customer happened to cough or sneeze, the face shield would stop those droplets from directly going into your mouth, nose, or eyes. So, Tom, I think maybe we need to get a little clarification on that, but I believe that is the intent of the face shield and the face mask.
Yeah, I'm certain that's the intent. And I mean, the question is being asked whether they wear safety goggles, glasses, like you would wear in a shop. And at this point, I think we're going to defer to the regulation and say that, no, you need a face shield.
I will make a note of that, and Tom and I will get clarification from the state and maybe post something to our website.
Chief, do you have any particular guidance on the differentiation between those pieces of equipment, or you think we covered that pretty well?
No, I think your interpretation and the differentiation is what the intent of that was. I think the problem, as everyone is, and I know face shields were a difficult commodity to source and locate, and just like the N95 masks, and that continues. But yeah, no, I do. I mean, if you guys could get some additional guidance on that, but there definitely is the safety glasses would not offer that same level of protection as that full face shield.
And
Go ahead.
sorry, I think the reason or the intent of that face shield is obviously when you're styling or cutting somebody's hair, that individual, it's going to be very difficult for them to keep a face mask on the whole time. They may have to remove it for certain parts of the styling or cutting. So that face shield would just give you a little additional protection in the event they coughed or sneezed while the face mask was off. Because I don't know how a customer would be able to keep a face mask on the whole time.
And keep in mind also that if we're not requiring the N95 masks, which is kind of a two-way barrier, so to speak, the face shields that we're requiring, or the cloth covering, is not doing the job of protecting everyone kind of in that two-way street, that two-way means of possibly contracting the disease. So the face shield is what's making up for the deficiency in the face mask. So, and plus your eyes are exposed and at all times, and you're going to be very close to your customers. So we really, we'll get that clarification, but I think at this point we're going with face shield.
Are there, is there any suggestions or guidance into where you can purchase appropriate face masks?
At this time, we don't know. We have been given some PPE that's specific for medical staff, primary care physicians, dentists doing emergency procedures, but we have not been given any guidance as far as personal protective equipment for business owners in general. I don't, maybe Peter, you have a better answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the normal purveyors and distributors for medical supplies and PPE would be your first path to try to identify those commodities. There are limited commodities. We can work on trying to get additional supports and information as far as mechanisms to get that in. Unfortunately, some of these commodities, while they are starting to open up, we are still seeing some of that supply side disruption that everyone continues to work through.
Okay. And as we get that information, we will put it on our website with links and information where those are available. Are there any other PPE that stylists would need to wear? Are there smocks or gowns or anything? I think there were some questions I've been hearing about that.
Not currently that we're aware of in the guidance.
Okay.
So if I might, this is Eleanor Carbone again. So I know that there are a couple of local manufacturers that did pivot to change up their manufacturing to provide PPE. What I'll do is I'll have Rista put up some contact information. Franklin Products is one of those manufacturers. So they reached out to me to let me know that they're they're prepared to provide some of those resources. And we'll put that on Rista's Facebook, or her webpage.
Okay. So there was a question about handheld blow dryers. First they weren't allowed, and now I think they are. Can you just confirm, Torrington Area Health District, what's the guidelines on hair dryers?
Yeah, we can confirm that you are allowed to use hair dryers, and it's sparingly, I guess, is what they're trying to imply, but they are allowed, yes.
Okay.
Rista, if I could just go back 1 second, because I noticed one of the comments in the chat. They mentioned that they're under the impression face mask and face shield are both required while in service. That is correct. Based on the guidance, they would want the stylist to wear both, the face mask and the face shield.
And how about the customers? Are they required to wear masks as well?
Yes, they are.
So one of the questions that came in before the meeting, and this is to you, Chief Baldwin, is if they have customers who are refusing to comply or, have some pushback, what should they do? What's the correct method, and who should they call if they need to?
If you have customers that are not complying, as the manager or as the proprietor of any business, you have the right to refuse service to those individuals. You can tell them that they need to leave, at which point they should leave. If they do not, I would recommend that you call the police department. We'll send an officer over to assist you in removing that customer. from the facility or from the venue.
Great, thank you. Bathrooms, are they open? Can you refuse them if you choose to?
The current guidance doesn't say that they have to be closed. It does outline some frequent cleaning of the bathrooms. You should log the cleaning, so like a note on the back of the door indicating when the bathroom was last cleaned, and clean it multiple times a day or hourly during business time. So it's going to cut into your styling time that you maintain those bathrooms if you offer them in the first place. But if you have bathrooms in your salon, then you must clean them frequently. I would like to double back on the linens and capes. There is some guidance in that. Just says that they have to be laundered with an aggressive detergent, thoroughly dry and stored in a cabinet. Single-use capes, single-use gowns are acceptable, but they are not cleanable. Those ones that come in the packages, those flimsies, are not cleanable. So if you're going to go with those non-washable ones, they must be discarded and cleaning compliant.
Is there any, so some services take a long time. Is there any guidelines on restrictions on the length of service that you can provide to someone?
No, I do not believe so. It's just, they talk about the social distancing for the customers that you have in the facility.
Now, if the state or Torrington Area Health District comes around to inspect open salons, there's some question, is there going to be fines? Is there going to be any enforcement, or how is that going to be enforced? Can you talk a little bit about, the role of the health district for compliance?
As far as fines, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not our intent here. We expect our stylists and our hair salons and barbershops to read these guidances and adhere to them to the best of their ability to protect themselves and their customers. We may make visits if we get complaints. Visits are going to probably be complaint based. At that point, we would stop by and take a look at the facility and the procedures. And if need be, we would ask you to make corrections. But I see that as the enforcement piece being about as strict as we're going to get. If somebody is posing a risk to public health and refusing to modify their practices or procedures to adhere to the guidelines, then that is something we'll have to talk about at that point. But our intent here is to be your partner and help you through this.
More additional questions. I just want to make sure I'm getting all the questions that are here, and I see that there's a couple coming through on the chat as well. So if if you're a spa, and can you open up to do nails?
No. Currently, nail salons or nails cannot be done right now. I know that, we have gotten a couple of those questions in that they are incorporated within their hair salon as doing nails as well. Nails have not been included in the reopening at this time. So that's strict.
So any other spa services available are just hair styling, cutting, coloring type services?
Yes, that we actually asked this questions a few times because we weren't sure why, and we weren't given an explanation why, only hair, but that's what we've been told from the state. So if there's any concerns or questions regarding that, I would have to defer you to the state of Connecticut on that.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is there's at least one question from a phone. So I'm going to unmute that caller and allow them to ask their question. Okay.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, I have a question about the receptionists in a salon, what they're required to wear, face shield versus masks.
I think for a receptionist, a face mask would probably be appropriate. That is another question that I do want to send up to the state of Connecticut so that they give us clarity. The other thing you might want to do at your reception station, like you've seen and is required at a lot of our grocery stores and other businesses, they will set up a temporary plexiglass to create that barrier between the customer and the receptionist.
Right. Do you know if it would be allowed for a receptionist to just wear a shield? Just because talking on the phone all day with a mask is going to be a little difficult.
I don't have the answer to that. The guidance doesn't really talk about that. My guess would be is if the receptionist is socially distanced far enough away, I think it would be deemed the same as in an office building where somebody is in their private office. They don't have to wear the face mask. It becomes more an issue when they start to interact with individuals coming in. That's
Right.
where we would want them to put the face mask on and potentially have another barrier, like a plexiglass or something between them and the customer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
How about waxing? Can they do just eyebrows when they keep the face mask on, or is there guidelines any waxing allowed?
I want to say that the regulation is silent on that right now. The reopening really is for hair. That's really all they talk about. There's no indication in here that the other personal services that are typically offered are being allowed at this time. Rob, I don't know if you've gotten any further guidance in that.
No, we have not. And these are some of the questions that we asked when we're on the state calls because there was no clear guidance as far as being able to perform any of these other personal services. I know nail salons kept coming up, and the answer was no, it's just for hair. But maybe that's something that we asked today, Tom, on the call.
Another question about sanitizing. What needs to be sanitized? Do they need to sanitize the shelved products, their plants, or is it just the things that the customers are coming in contact with?
Well, keep in mind that most of that should have been removed already by the time you reopen. The guidance does indicate that you should be getting rid of magazines. I would say get the plants out of there. Anything that is not cleanable, washable should be gotten out of there. A lot of you do sell product on shelves and whatnot. I think the customers are going to want to see that stuff's washed. Perhaps at the time you offer it to the customer, you have a disinfecting cloth of some kind. But as far as daily disinfection, it is not really clear that you have to daily disinfect things like shelved product. But as far as incidentals, magazines, plants are a great example, and all of that should be removed from the salon prior to reopening.
And how about the products that they use on their clients during the service, like the shampoo or the conditioner by the hair washing station?
Yes, actually, as Tom was answering, I went to the page, and there is a section on cleaning and disinfecting, and I'll just read this quickly. It says, clean and disinfect workstations and tools between customers, including station counters, chairs, tweezers, mirrors, styling tools, brushes and combs, rolling carts, drawers, or any storage containers, product on station, chair, and headrest. So it sounds like they really want you to wipe practically everything in the station down in between uses.
And I want to remind the salon owners. I mean, you guys are professionals. You guys know your business well, and a lot of this guidance is not a lot different from what we're asking you to do on a daily basis. So a lot of your disinfection procedures and whatnot, and keeping your shop clean, these are extra things that are being added, but you should be used to a lot of this. You know, the equipment and the combs and all those things. There's clear guidance on that from when you got your license. So fall back on that and kind of expand on what you've always been doing as far as disinfection. And those particular items that Rob outlined are excellent. You know, keeping these small spots that perhaps we don't think about every time. But you guys know what a clean shop is, and you know the procedures, you know the chemicals. So we encourage you to fall back in your training and just kind of emphasize that a little bit above and beyond. But follow this guidance. Please take a look at this. It's on our website. It's on the state website. It's got a lot of great information in it, and we've actually covered quite a bit of it today. But get this and sit down with it and go through it and remember your training and remember everything you've been taught through the years and reminded through inspection processes and everything else. I think you're going to be fine. I really do.
How about appointment books and cards for their appointments? Can they hand those out? Can they keep their paper appointment books?
I would say as far as their own paper appointment book, that's okay to keep. But even in the restaurants, you've probably heard or seen how they're really emphasizing electronic payments. We would encourage you to maybe have your customers just put on their calendar on their phone or what have you, their own appointment. We want to discourage the passing of paper or other items.
In the chat room, there is a link for CBIA, who they're doing a mask distribution. I checked this morning, it is still open. So if businesses want to go on and request masks, you can request 2 masks per employee, up to 50 employees. And we will get those masks and distribute them to you. It is, the city is not running this program, but we are doing the distribution. It's as supplies last. It was still open this morning, so if you do need face masks, you can go on to the link that's provided, or you can Google CBIA face masks, and there is a form that you go in and fill out. And also, you know, one thing that's important as we get information, and as you, as I'm sure you've seen yourself, it does change pretty regularly. There's updates, there's clarifications, and we want to make sure that we're able to contact you and reach out to you. So email me with your email and your contact information, and I'll put you on our distribution list. If you didn't receive an email from me yesterday with the invitation for this meeting, that means I do not have your email. So please, if you want to be up to date, we don't send out a lot of emails. Just as information changes or important things come up, we'll be reaching out to you on that. And also, as you know, we can, if this is helpful and working in these small groups for the industry, we'll let you know about when these meetings are held. So what I do want to try to do now, so we're almost at time. Mayor, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just want to encourage everyone to give us your contact information, because this is the first of many of these meetings we intend to hold. And beyond the recovery from the pandemic, we want to be your partners in how you grow your business. We want to be able to provide you some additional resources. So I really want to encourage you to get in touch with Rista and provide her your direct contact information so that we can start this ongoing conversation with you.
Okay, so what I'm going to try to do now, because I know that it can be a little difficult with the chat line and different things, I'm going to put my email address back in the chat. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. And so if you do have any questions, you can ask them if we haven't had the opportunity yet. So.
And rest on that *6. If you're calling in, it's *6 to unmute.
Right. So you now all have the opportunity to unmute yourself, or if it's a phone call, hit *6. And if you have any questions that you're more comfortable just asking, please do that at this time. Okay.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, so basically nothing in the salon except the necessities, and that's it. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so.
Okay. Because I have plants and different things in there that I'll just remove. What about, I mean, you can keep the stuff on the wall, right? Because no one's really in contact with that.
Yes, I think that would be okay.
Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else before we cut off.
The other thing that I would also like to point out for all of you, make sure you take proper steps to protect not only yourself, but your families. It may not be a bad idea to bring a change of clothes with you so that when you're done working for the day, thoroughly wash your hands. Maybe change your clothes before getting into your car and going home to your loved ones. And when you get home, throw those clothes directly into the laundry. You know, we're talking a lot about the protection of the customers and even the protection of yourselves, but keep in mind that a lot of you go home to families as well. So take the necessary steps to protect them as well.
I'm an in-home salon, so that makes it a little scary for me. Is there any suggestions of anything for me?
I would just really try and strictly adhere to the guidelines. And the other thing we really didn't touch on today, screen your customers. Ask them if they've had any symptoms. Ask them if they've been in contact with anybody who's positive. You know, that's important. Sometimes something may come up where you could avoid having a customer who could have been a potential threat.
All right. Do we actually need a questionnaire for them to physically fill out, or can we just ask them over the phone when we make the appointment?
I think you can do it over the phone when you make the appointment. There's a million of these questionnaires out there now. You could just even grab something online. And when you make the appointment, you can just go right down the list and kind of have a little checklist for them.
Okay, because sometimes people tend to get offended if you ask them, you know, if they have it.
Yep. And well, you can blame that on us. Just say the health department is requiring us to ask everybody, you know, to these specific questions to protect ourselves in the community.
And I can find a decent one, and I can put that on our website too, if that's helpful.
Yeah, that would be great, because then it's specific to us.
Right.
Is that it? I do have one more comment, because this is a whole chat room full of stylists. This gray stripe right here at this part, this is my badge of solidarity with all of you that had to give up your industry for 9 weeks. So I just want you to know that I stuck to the rules myself.
Thank you.
And if anybody has a cure for my head, I'd be happy to.
All right, thank you all, and please let me know if there's anything that you need or that we can help you with.
All right, thanks a lot.